Time to go over a new release that I thought was definitely worth investing in from Blendbunny. This is a really gorgeous palette. Two palettes. This one shimmers. This one is all mattes. This is the Ellis collection. Usually I will only get indie palettes when I really am interested in the color story and I like the formula. So I know I like their formula. It is very blendy, just like they say it is. But I had never really tried a bunch of their shimmers before, and so let's go ahead and give these a try, and I will go ahead and swatch out all of these colors. The good news is that if you don't want to get this whole big palette, you can buy just the cools or just the warms, and it just really depends on what you are interested in. I couldn't decide. I had gone in thinking that I was just going to get the cools because I do so much cool tone content, but some of these like warmer pinks and purples were also in there and I wanted them. You know, I thought that it wasn't going to be something that I was going to wear with just the coolest grays and browns and purples. So I ended up buying the whole collection and I don't regret that. I haven't found use for these yet, but I think as fall hits and I start doing a little more fall themed looks, I will find a use for some of these pops of a little bit warmer color. In general, I have very cool toned skin. However, because I have warm red hair and I have sort of this coppery overlay of freckles and a little bit of ruddiness from the sun, I look best, and I think a lot of you may also have this, where you can do mostly cool tones, but then you have little pops of warm or neutral, something to just bring it up from that dead cool. It's very hard for me to get away with just a dead cool. It helps to bring it up just a little bit. Dead cool can look a little dead. So at any rate, that was my reasoning for going ahead and splurging and get the full one of the mattes with all of the different colors. And I definitely don't regret that I did it. Now, this shimmer palette, I mean, if you know me, I love my shimmers, and I was not going to pass that up. And I'm glad that I didn't, even though I felt like these were a little more on the pastel side, so maybe I wouldn't use all of the colors. I actually really like this formula. It is different than a lot of my other indie shimmer formulas. It's definitely unique. It's very soft and it's very almost oily, greasy, not in a bad way. Like it's got that a little more pearlescent, a little more natural look. Definitely not going to flake a bunch of shimmer down onto your cheeks. It looks a little more refined. Now it's not quite as punchy, but I don't think it needs to be. I have to say you still get the same impact and it's still so, see, I mean, look at that. That is plenty of impact, but when you spread it out on your skin, it sort of gives you this more iridescent, sort of like more ethereal look. And frankly, it's very easy to work with. You can build it up. I was a little disappointed at first because I like my shimmer to be like, bam, in your face. But those can be a little crusty. They definitely fall off on your cheeks. And sometimes, frankly, I come back from being out like that and I look at myself and I'm like, you look a little cheap. So, you know, there it is. Being a woman of a certain age, at some point you do sort of feel like, well, maybe that's a little childish, and I still do it anyway, but sometimes I want something a little more refined like this, and that is definitely what this palette gives you. Okay, so let's get into the swatches, and then I will show you the look that I got today, and then we'll have some final thoughts, and you can decide whether you think this one's worth investing in for yourself. Okay, let's go. Okay, here are the two palettes. First, let's look at this lovely shimmer palette. So beautiful. Magnetic case on both of these. Nice thick cardboard, was shipped really nicely and well. Nothing arrived broken. Super impressed. Let's go ahead and see how the mattes formula performs. I would say first swipe is actually very light and you do want to do a couple swipes to get the full color, but as you can see, very velvety looking. So this is the first two rows, Honestly, if I could have just bought maybe this 2 rows, that would have been perfect for me. Let's look at these middle rows. I actually have found some pretty good use for this. This is definitely a neutrals and warms sort of mix here. They do come in handy, as it turns out. You'll see in the looks. And then this is the 2 rows that I feel is a bit redundant, honestly. You can see a lot of this is really, really similar. And here is that shimmer formula. As you can see, that was one swipe. Gorgeous, gorgeous colors. They look more impressive on than they do like in the actual pan. There was a couple I hadn't tried until I swatched this and I was like, oh, I thought that that was one color, and it actually is something much more interesting. Okay, so let's get started with kind of those favorite pinks and purples that I really liked. And we're just gonna start building them up, layering and layering from lightest to darkest. As you can see on my skin tone, some of these barely show up at first because they're kind of the color of me, but I actually love that. I can already see as I add these, they blend so beautifully, and that is something that, you know, that obviously with a name like Blendbunny, that's probably what they're known for, and I certainly would agree that their shadows really blend amazingly well, and it gives you a more pro look. So I'm continuing to build up a little bit darker in that same sort of color family, and then I'm going to line with this sort of darkish purple as well. It's kind of hard to tell from the video, but this is a dark, dark, dark purple and not just like a black or a brown. Okay, so this is where, because they're blendy, those dark ones, they're also very blendy and they'll fall. And so I need the eyeshadow tapes for that good, like that really nice look, and not ending up with all of this down on my cheeks as well. Okay, continuing to build. And the nice thing is if you have creasy eyes, you can use the lightest color like this right here to just swipe over, and it helps blend everything together so that you don't end up with like stark lines. That is something that is really nice about this formula. It's really good for like creasy older eyes, even though I'm sure that's not really who they were aiming for, but it does work. Okay, so I'm using the purple shimmer here, and I'm just going to do the same sort of thing, darkest to lightest pink shimmer, start working towards the innermost eye, and then on the very, very innermost part, I'm going to use this sort of yellow with white with a little bit of yellow shimmer to blend it all together and make the lightest part the center. And it's just so easy to work with. I think this is so beautiful. It blended so well. And let's just go ahead and put a little bit of liner. This is one of the new colors in the L'Oreal Infallible Color, what are the eyeshadow sticks. These are so blendy, and you have to go really light with them, but beautiful colors for fall. I'll have those in an upcoming video, so don't worry about that. Okay, I'm using just a little bit of liner. I don't want to go crazy. I want this to stay a little more delicate of a look, and a little bit of the Sephora mascara. This one is still my favorite. And voila, I think it is very, very beautiful without being over the top. Now, if you do want something over the top, you can get there, and that's what I have here. So I did find a way to get some sort of fall looks out of this. The green and the orange, definitely very October-y. And then I also wanted to show you that if you just wanted to get the shimmer palette, you can make a whole look just from the shimmers. So here's sort of a green and brown shimmer look with a little bit of that yellow in the middle, and I think it makes great looks as well. There are some looks. Hopefully this gives you a good idea of how this particular palette performs and this formula performs. I do have one of their other palettes, the Longing palette, which is also an absolutely gorgeous, very cool toned palette. And I would say that if you need some of those like really beautiful greens and you want some like a little more rusty fall ones, you might want to actually pick this one up too. It is really, really nice. The biggest take that I kind of have from using the Blendbunny formula is that it really, really helps to be able to use some tapes underneath your eyes, because it is so blendy, which is in the name, and it is so soft. There is a lot of sort of fallout and disappearing, a little bit like some of the Huda palettes do. Some of hers just don't perform. This one, it does, but you will find yourself building and building and building with this particular formula. And I don't think that that is the best way to use this. Each formula is a little different, and this one, it really helps to sort of go in with an idea of what you want to do. Don't overdo it because it will just sort of blend away to nothing. And if you really want to have like pops and punches of colors, maybe don't blend those parts. Maybe use something like a NYX glitter glue or something like that. My guess is that what this formula was really created for is to be blendy, to be seamless, to look very professional in that way. Now I know a lot of the creators that they show using their products are actually doing fairly like wild looks, but for your average consumer who is going to wear this like day to day out and about, and you know, if they want to decide whether they're going to actually invest in something like this or not, I wanted to show you some everyday looks that you can get from it. You can go wild with it, but I think if you're going to do that, you're going to be doing cut creases. You're going to be really laying down a foundation beforehand because this is such a blendy formula. I think you need to be a little more of a pro makeup user to get those looks out of this, or you need to have darker skin so that it doesn't matter if you pile up some of those darker colors. For somebody as light as me, I think that the best use of this formula and these is for these beautiful ethereal looks that are so well blended and lovely and very actually everyday friendly. So I know that that's not what they show on their website, but I personally, after having used this for about a week, I think that's the best use of this, is if you want something that is actually everyday suitable and you're not going to try to build up those big, you know, incredible looks. You can try, but I think you have to be on a certain level that I'm not on to get those looks out of this without being super frustrated. And I did find that the best looks that I got so that I could really spend some time blending without so much fallout was with my eyeshadow tapes. So I highly recommend you get, it's like $6 for like 3 of these tapes. I haven't even gotten through the first roll, so I highly recommend something like the eyeshadow tapes for using something like this. Then you get your blendiest, most beautiful ethereal looks. Okay, hopefully that helps. If you were curious, this is what it looks like on somebody who is 50 and very, very fair, and kind of goes about living everyday life and wants to wear this kind of makeup, but not be, you know, like artistic with it. I mean, of course I'm being artistic, but I'm not just taking a bunch of Instagram photos with this. This is how sort of everyday life somebody who does wear makeup and enjoys makeup would wear it. So if that's you, hopefully this helps you decide whether or not you want to invest in these. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know. Any swatches, comparisons. I mean, I do collect a lot of makeup, so I may have answers to questions you may have about how this compares to other ones, because I may have those other ones. So just let me know below. Anybody else who's gotten this and has some feedback, leave it below. Everybody likes a little extra information from down in the comment section. Okay, if you like this kind of content and you haven't subscribed, I sure would appreciate a like and subscribe, as it really helps my channel to grow, and I really appreciate you guys being here. Okay, hopefully that was helpful, and I will see you in the next video.